Well, welcome. Welcome to this PowerPoint where we're going to provide you with guidance in completing the comprehension tutorials. And the reason for that is we want to be sure that we enhance the reliability in the scoring. Remember, we noticed that the critical reading inventory, especially the comprehension assessment, is sort of guided by the National Assessment of Educational Progress, NAEP, which focuses on higher level thinking. Now, when we deal with text-based items, we have strong reliability. Most people agree whether the text-based is right or wrong. However, when you have higher level inferences and higher level critical responses, and they're focused on reading and not background, we need to work more to have the reliability. When responses given by students are based on prior knowledge or speculation, these do not count as reading inferences and reading critical response items. In order to have credit, the critical reading questions must be answered with statements rooted in the text. So, we're going to guide you through the completion of a tutorial. You'll go to thoughtfulliteracy.com, you'll sign in, get to the main menu, then go to the far right, Help, and then select the tutorials. For the purpose of this PowerPoint, we're going to select Tutorial 6. When we select that, the system downloads the file. You open that downloaded file. Click Run, and then click OK. You'll see the directions. After you've read the directions, click Close. Since we're working this together, I'll provide the directions for you. It would be wise if you have read the championship game prior to this PowerPoint, because that way you'll have a far better understanding of the process. What we will do is we will read the question, and we'll also notice that in the tutorial, the answer that's included in the manual is also provided for you. You then have the response given by a student. Your task is to grade that. You will select full, partial, or no credit. After you do that, you will be provided with feedback concerning your response. You then click Next on the bottom left, and you continue until all the responses have been scored. You fill in the information required and notice where the file is saved. All right. Then, when you have a tutorial assignment, you're going to have to save for the assignment. To do that, after you've completed the tutorial, you know where it was. You go to that file. Notice here that the files will always have tutor and then the numeral. The first time you do one, the second time you do one, the third time you do one, etc. They will always end in TWD. You open that file and copy it, and then paste it in a Word document. Save it. Now, if you have 3 or 4 tutorials assigned, you will copy each and put them in the one Word file and then post your assignment so your professor knows that you've done that. Now, it's important to remember that the emphasis here is not on the score you get. The emphasis, the learning that you acquire as you go through the process of scoring the comprehension responses. So let's get started. We will go to thoughtfulliteracy.com, go to the critical reading inventory, and since we're already signed in, we merely click in our email address, click to start, And here we are. We go to help and tutorials. As said, we're going to go to tutorial 6, 3rd grade narrative story, The Championship Game. Notice I clicked it on and the system downloads that file. On my computer, it appears here. Once you open that, what do? You click Run. And here you have the critical reading inventory tutorials. All right, now let us move. Here you're going to have the directions, and for now we're going to simply close it. Say, for instance, you need a brief reminder of the story. When you click here, the story actually appears. You've already read that story, so I'm just going to close it. Here's the question that we will answer each time in this PowerPoint. Do you think that Jill and her teammates were good friends or not? Why? This is an inference, and here is the response that's provided in the manual. Probably not. She didn't seem to know their names. She didn't care too much about the team. She thought they wouldn't play well. Now, here is what a student said. Not really, because she didn't talk to them in the dugout or anything. Now, that may be true, but I will tell you this. It's not in the story. So I'm going to click C for no credit. And when I do that, here is the feedback I receive. We really have no way of knowing whether Jill spoke to anyone in the dugout. So here, notice also at the last sentence, a follow-up question could have been asked here. So that's an important thing to realize, that if you're uncertain whether the student knows, there's no problem with asking for a probing question. So we scored the first one. Now we click Next. Here is our second response. No, because she didn't cheer them on, and her teammates were mad that Jill kept making up excuses. This is an interesting response. Why? Look at the first part. She didn't cheer them on. If she's a true friend, she would have provided some excitement. Good job. So this part is right, but her teammates were mad. There's no sign the teammates were mad because Jill made excuses. So here's an example of a partial credit. So I will click partial credit, and now I'm told yes, partial credit's the right answer. I click OK, and now I move on to next. This student said, yes, good friends. They thought she was a good player and a good sport. I don't know what passage this student read, but clearly this is a no credit. All right, so we then move on to next. When we get to 4, this student said, I thought they were good friends because they play together. Now here's an example of a student who's using his or her view of friendship as the basis of the answer, but it's not rooted in the text. So we have no choice but to say this is no credit. Very imprecise concept of friendship. Their teammates are not necessarily friends just because they play together on a team. So we click no credit. Now we move to number 5. No, because she only cared about how she played. Wow, this is a student who understands Jill as a character. And that is full credit, and we click A, and we're told we are right. Now this is the cute thing about a computer program. Sometimes it goofs. We repeat this. No, she only cared about how she played, so we got it correct. and now we're going to move on to 7. Yes, because everyone thought she was the best player on the team, so she would be friends with everyone. Now here's a student who takes that little thing that Jill said she's the best player, and she applies it to everybody. So this is a comprehension problem. No credit. All right? So we move on. This student for number 8 says, I think so, because when she felt bad, everybody felt the same way with her. Again, zooming in on something in the text, Jill feels bad. But now she takes it beyond what the story would have to say. So, did the others feel the same way? No. So this is no credit. All right. Now, let's move on to number 9. This student says, no, she didn't say anything nice about them. That's somebody who understands what a friend does, so we give that student full credit, and we're told yes. Let's move on to 10. And what did this student say? Yes, because they were working together to win. There's no sign in the story that they worked together. So this is no credit, and our feedback lets us know that we are right. Moving on to 11. Here we have a student who says, I think they weren't good friends because Jill made fun of them. This is an interesting one here. This one really needs a probe because this student may have it right, but this student didn't give us information that's right. So consequently, that's a no credit response. And here's where we have a hard time with that because we think, oh, maybe she knows. Well, if that's the case, look at what it says at the end here. A follow-up question may have been helpful here. So remember we said this inventory is as effective as the person administering it. And folks, you have to know that story, and you have to know when to probe. And here is a perfect probing example. So we'll move on to 12, and this student says, yes, because they were together for the whole season. Again, a wrong idea of friendship, and that is no credit. So now we're ready to move on to 13. This student says, yes, because if everybody was cheering together, I would think they were good friends. If they weren't friends, they'd be cheering for themselves. Now, Jill was thinking about cheering, but she didn't cheer for herself. This is completely off the charts, we will say. No credit here. So in that situation, you wouldn't even worry about giving a probe. Now say, for instance, you had selected partial credit. When you get there, it will tell you why you're wrong. So that's the form of the tutorial that we're looking at. Learning why something is right or something is partial or something is no credit. 14 says, yes, because she wasn't yelling at them when they were making mistakes. Now, they were making mistakes, but this response has nothing to do with the question. Were they good friends? So this, again, is no credit. That takes us next to 15. 15, no, just because of the way she was acting. Oh, when I see this and I realize there's no probe, I feel bad. Because this is not an inference. It's not developed. So I have to give it no credit. But notice here, this really needed a probe. A follow-up question really would have been evidence of an effective administrator. All right, number 16. Let's look at 16. No, because she really wasn't playing with the team. She just wanted to be the star. Wow, there's somebody who understands the story and the critique of the character as a friend. So number 16 gets full credit. We move to 17. No, because she didn't celebrate with them. Wow, you see that? Another answer rooted in the text, and therefore a critical reading inference. So we say full credit for number 17. Let's move to 18. Yes, because they were all working together. She wasn't working with the team, so that is no credit. And we move now to 19. No, she struck out, and so people wouldn't like her. Here, she did strike out. And this might be an evidence of this student's response of a poor concept of friendship. But here there is nothing that's really rooted. You could have had a probe here, okay? That might have helped to see if the student had some good understanding here. That takes us to 20. No, she didn't seem like she was friendly. Here's a probing. We need to probe. But without that, we can't give credit. That takes us now to 21. Yes, because they probably knew each other for a long time. Now that might be true, but that's pure speculation, and therefore no credit. Moving to 22. When we get to 22 here, listen to what this student says. Sort of. But if they really were good friends, she would have told them to do better. Now, here she's focused on the concept of trust. But she could have developed it just a little better. Watch. Certainly, telling her teammates to do better is unlikely to have a direct effect on their performance. However, if we interpret the reader's meaning as encouraging them to do better, we could make a case that the reader has supported her response. But in any case, a follow-up question might have clarified the student's thinking. And so here a student's getting partial credit when there's a good chance he or she could have had full credit. That takes us now to 23. No, in the story it didn't seem like they cheered each other. They just seemed bored. Now here again, we have half of this response. It didn't seem like they cheered each other. That's a powerful example. But once this student says they just seemed bored, there's nothing in the story to support that. So there we have a partial credit, all right? Now, I wanted to show you what happened. We knew it was partial credit, but I clicked on no credit so you could see what would happen. This is a partial credit, and it tells you why. So that's the structure of the feedback that you get. Yes, because they all celebrated at the end. I'm going to make one more mistake just so that you see this. They didn't all celebrate. Jill wasn't part of it. But just say that this student, I made a mistake. So I say, oh yeah, let me give her full credit. So you see this? No. The answer is C. So now we have finished all 24. And what do we have? Continue. Well, this is telling us we have 21 of 24. Again, little glitches in a computer. Folks, the score doesn't matter. What matters is that you understand the process. So you're going to put your name in, you're going to put the number of your cores, and whatever it be, and you're going to be putting today's date. But actually put your date in. Now, this is what I want you to see. This is saved as tutor7.twd. Alright, now I'm going to get out of my computer, and through the magic of this Camtasia presentation, I'm even going to leave the PowerPoint. So I'm going to say yes, end this show, but I want to continue recording. Why? Because I'm going to go to tutor7.twd. You see that? I searched, I found. And now what I would do is I would simply copy, and then what I would do is I would go to a Word document and paste it. And depending on how many assignments you have, that is where you will. And here we are. We're finished. And our reminder is, don't you feel great? You know how to do the comprehension tutorial. You know how to find the file that the program system makes. You copy it, paste it in a Word document, and then away you go. Your assignment is complete. This is the end of the comprehension tutorial, but we know there's a much more waiting for you. For now, goodbye.